so the next thing that we do is we add some of the carbon fiber strip, this to the trailing edge of both the rudder and the two elevator halves. One thing I didn't mention on this stab, instructions already have you add some of this carbon fiber in this little slot right here, right along the leading edge. So starting with the rudder, there were still some high points from the nibs of the laser cutting. So I just took a quick block plane and sanded off the nibs so they're nice and smooth. The next thing is to cut this piece down. It's supposed to be about 8 inches. Instructions say to cut it to 8 inches, but I prefer to do things in place. It just seems to be a little more accurate that way than trying to measure all the time. So I'll just, the carbon fiber strip slides into a notch here and a notch here. And so this part right here is actually slightly recessed in the trailing edge. So I'll just take the carbon fiber strip, lay it up against one edge, and then come along with my straight edge and mark where I want to cut. Take that, line it up with my end cutters, and snip. All right, perfect fit. Then at that point, now it's time to glue it in. I think the easiest way to glue it in would be to lay it on end. And then add some CA. I'm just going to tack in the middle part first. Alright, now I can go back and add some more CA. Good, flush. Now do the elevator halves. Alright, and there you have the carbon fiber strip rudder and 2 elevator halves. So, a few minutes with a Dremel and a grinding bit, and I was able to grind down both arms enough to where the gap looks fairly even for the most part. I think this should work. I need a little bit of gap to account for covering. One thing I should mention in the instructions, I believe they've got it wrong in the fact that when it comes time to install the horizontal stab in the elevators after you've covered, they say the first thing to do is put your elevator into the fuselage. Well, the elevator never goes into the fuselage. I think what they mean to say is put the horizontal stab in to the fuselage. So it just kind of slides into place here. This will be a much tougher slide once we get the covering on. Anyways, you slide that in, and then it says next to insert your elevator joiner. Well, I'm not sure how you're going to do that, because that right there is about as far as it will go. And remember, you would have covering. This is after you've covered the model. You can't put this piece in through here. There's no way to get it to turn. So I think what they mean to say, and I don't know why this hasn't been corrected, is put your elevator joiner in first, like so, and then put in your horizontal stab. And then after that is in place, then you can come in and you can add your elevators. pretty much in place. The instructions don't have you actually glue the wire to the bushing. I guess it's supposed to move freely. The only thing holding the elevator halves on would be the CA hinges. But there, that's kind of how the way it's supposed to go. The next step with the flight controls would be to hinge them. Now, the instructions have you, and I think most instructions have you wait until it's covered and then hinge. But I've always found that it's difficult after you have rounded a leading edge, say with the rudder, to find the center line to do the hinges. I think it's much easier to do while the hinges are still square. Now, of course, the post on the fin, that remains square even after covering. But obviously the rudder needs to be shaped. The tools I use this Dubrow slaughter, at least to get it started. And then after getting the line sort of marked in the leading and the wood, then I come along with a box cutter. Sometimes I find it much easier to use the eye to find center line than using this center finder. This is just kind of gets it started. Alright, that's a nice fit. It's smooth all along the joint. So I'll just leave it like this now until it's time to shape the leading edge of the rudder.